Three, two, one. Welcome everyone to season 4. That's right, you heard it first. Season 4 of Alaska Sports Talk. We are joined by Brad Lowers. Keaton Homer is actually without a voice. That is why he is not on right now. He legit has no voice. So we are going to make do. We're going to play like a champion. Hey, next man up. That's what we do. You know what? That's actually a good segue into what I really want to talk about.
Well, Isaiah, I'd like to first say with Keaton, you'll never find. He says he sounds like Barry White, so it'd be interesting. We should have him on just to sing a few Barry White songs.
That's true. The We're gonna play like a champion, and I would be remiss if I didn't say we are gonna play like the Seattle Seahawks, who
Ah,
are the Super Bowl champs, by the way. For those of you who have not heard my voice for a few months, I just want you to know that Seattle still won the Super Bowl last February, and we're still pretty good. So, legit repeat alert is forthcoming. And yes, I will be talking more about that. Hard Knocks has been amazing. I just have to say, if you haven't seen that yet, you really should. Gives you a window into a Super Bowl champion. So, anyway, enough of that soapbox. Welcome to season 4 of the Alaska Sports Talk podcast. Your host, Isaiah Vreeman, along with Brad Lowers. And we have a guest, Brad. I will let you go ahead and introduce him as we start talking with the big sports that have been starting already, and that is high school football.
a lot of high school football going on, and we're going to catch up on that. And Brian Yim is the perfect person to talk about it. Former coach at Dimond High School, championship coach, and it's just good to have somebody that's following what's going on so closely. And I don't want to compare him with Tom Brady, but what happens is you get out of sports, you're like a John Madden, and you become an expert. And so Brian is one of those experts, not just for us, but for others as well. So Brian, a pleasure to have you on, and glad to have you watching football on our behalf.
Thanks, Coach. It's a lot easier to make fixes and everything when you don't have to be at practice every day and you know out in the rain and watching from the sidelines or watching from home on NFHS. It's a lot easier.
Well, watching in the rain is certainly fitting for what's happened so far. Brian, there's one question I have, and it's what's happening through the Anchorage School District, and that is the elimination of C teams. And um, you have the elimination of junior high sports or middle school sports. You're losing C teams. There's just a few sports that are hanging on to their C teams. You look out there at football practices, and you see such a limited amount, and it just seems to threaten the football and really all sports future here in the city of Anchorage.
Yeah, it's got to be tough. I know some of the middle school sports got brought back, but another big issue other than the loss of C teams is bus transportation. I know that's kind of a big issue right now with a lot of teams trying to get to where they need to go to games and getting kids where they need to go. Um, it's an extra challenge for a lot of those younger teams, and especially for again, the loss of C team sports is really going to hurt. As a coaching football, boys football for the last 18 years or so. Um, you know, Freshman to sophomore year is like a huge jump for the boys athletically, and not having them out there when they're freshmen, not getting them into it, them not getting to play as much, and when they are playing, they're playing against you know sophomores and juniors potentially on JV. Uh, it's a completely different game, C team football and JV football.
Well, I think too, you look at it, and I've heard people talk about this too, is what are kids going to do? And really, athletics was an outlet, and really football is kind of unique in terms of, the way you can um, be physical and be within the rules. I'm just thinking about those kids that are no longer on the field, and just seems like a shame that that's the case.
Yeah. And just kind of with how things have been going, football numbers have been down, but other sports, basketball, volleyball, not having C teams for those sports is going to be tough because then I mean, those are cut sports. At a lot of schools, kids are getting cut from it. Football doesn't really cut anywhere around town, but not having that opportunity to play, they lose some of that incentive to go to school as freshmen and go to classes that first fall semester, and then once fall semester ends, you know, it's tough to get them back in there in the spring.
I know you're a longtime viewer of high school sports, and how do you think this lack of C team play is going to affect what's going on, especially in town? Because there are places like the Valley that are going to continue, and in that regard, um, it's just natural to think they might surpass what's going on in town.
Well, I think Coach said it right. When you don't have a C team, that's your freshmen. Your freshmen. I mean, those are the kids. When I look at that across the board for any sport, a lot of schools get introduced or kids get introduced into things as freshmen. And that's when they start playing these sports. Some of them get in earlier, but there are some that their first exposure to those kind of things are in ninth grade, like I was. So it's disappointing. And I know from an ASD standpoint, I know they're disappointed and it's disappointing to the parents. But then you look at the flip side of that, they're going to have some major disadvantages when it comes to other teams and when they have C teams and other things like that. So just the development program, as Coach alluded to, is a big piece of that.
Yeah, I think too. Just I don't know. It's just different. It seems like ASD in some regards, there's a lot of sports offered, and there has been a lot of sports. And then I just think too is in terms of it being a financial thing, it just doesn't seem to be that big a deal in the whole picture of the thing. And according to its value, I think it's been worth the money spent on it.
Yeah, and honestly, it definitely seems like it'd have much more negative effect on some of those lower income communities. Kids that there's no more boys and girls club football. That's been out for a while, and Pop Warner is a little bit expensive, and so it's tough, even tougher for those kids that are pre-high school kids, middle school kids, elementary school kids, that maybe don't have a lot of money to be able to afford playing football.
Yeah, Brian, I live right across from an elementary school, and from my house, I can see three or four guys running along the roof. So I'm thinking those are probably not football players, but those are probably kids looking for something to do, and just kind of a shame. I don't know. How do you think there might be a fix? Maybe there's some that you know of that are they're trying to help out. Who's stepping to the forefront on that?
I know Coach Collins over at Diamond, I talked to him a lot last year, and he had been trying to work with some of the other high school coaches in town to put on, scrimmages or kind of like an old school jamboree, I think would be a real interesting option. You just get all those C teams together. West has two football fields over there. Get any C team, any freshman kids that can go out there and maybe play half a game against each other and then just kind of round robin it. I think you could get, a lot of benefits from that.
So let's flip this script a little bit and talk about your evaluation of games that are going on right now. And there seems to be a real split between teams that are doing exceedingly well and teams that are looking for their first win. So, what have you seen in watching these games?
I mean, we got to start up at the top, and teams like, I mean, West for sure has looked awesome. They look like they're clicking. Um, offensively more so than a lot of the other teams. Um, these first couple weeks trying to put out a good offensive team is tough. Trying to get that timing down, trying to get snaps down and catches and just everything that comes with running offense um, is a real challenge. And West looks really good on that side. Um, Colony is running the ball really well, throwing the ball pretty well. Um, we've been saying for years that they're a young team, and I think that's finally catching up to them, and they look really good out there as well. Um, South still 2-0, still state defending state champs. Um, they're looking like it too. They're playing well. Their defense is clicking.
Well, we certainly want to congratulate John Lewis. We got a chance to talk to him after their victory over Juneau, and 100 wins is a great milestone. And you could tell it meant a lot to him. He's just, well, he's a friend of the show. We appreciate that as well. But he's also someone that's been just such a huge part of South Athletics. He announces volleyball, and he runs it on the field. He's a trainer, apparently. But I think the 100 wins, you just gotta congratulate him on that.
Yeah, I think Lou would take any kind of you know extra title you want to give him. Anything else you want to call him, Lou will take it. He's the best. He's awesome. I mean, he's been doing it forever. He's been part of Alaska high school football um, forever. I mean, he's does a good job with it, and he gets those kids ready to play. And yeah, Lou's great.
And defending state champs, and their scores have been a little closer. It's not like they've run people into the ground, but kind of was similar last year. They didn't get off to the fastest start, but that team really got better as the year went on. And I think they have a lot of those really good players returning.
Yeah, they had a good senior group. I know coming back. Some of those skill position guys, especially, they were coming back are seniors. Um, but I know their offensive line's a little younger, but they're strong. I know the work that they put in the weight room across the board. Lou's real good at that, getting them in there, getting them strong, and um, I think I think they'll start clicking for sure. I mean, they played Juneau week one, and Juneau's a pretty solid team. They're looking like they're going to be real competitive all year. And Bartlett week two on a Friday, opening up Bartlett at Bartlett for the year. Can be a challenge, and I think they're gradually getting better for sure.
Well, you mentioned Juneau, and they played South. First game out, they lost 16-6. But one of the things that happened to Juneau is they had back-to-back away games,
Yeah.
and Anchorage teams know when they travel to Juneau. I mean, when you're west and you're traveling to east, that's a little different than when you're west and you're traveling to Juneau. And when you're Juneau, every away game is a real road trip. So they've had two in a row, and after losing that first one, they came back and beat East 17-14. And just you gotta just give Juneau some props when they play on the road. They're really a contender if they can win on the road.
Coach Soros has done such a good job down there. He's another guy who's been coaching in Alaska high school football forever, and he does a great job. And the amount of money that each player needs to raise down there kind of dwarfs the rest of what we have to do. The amount of travel they have to do. I mean, they even had to play a Sunday game this year. They
Yeah.
played South on a Sunday, so they had to make that adjustment. And then going into East and playing at East, and um, that's always a challenge, and they looked good doing it. They run they're different than the rest of Anchorage for sure. I mean, the offense that they run is drastically different than anything else that everyone's running up here, and um, it works to their advantage for sure.
I watched Coach Shajaris on the sideline, and just like you said, Brian, I mean, he's so relaxed, and you got to know those coaches that have that experience. And really, when you look at the league, there's a couple new coaches, and they're finding it tough going. And then there's a few experienced coaches. And I think Coach Brown and Coach Davis, kind of the reuniting of that particular work with Coach Brown running the defense, Coach Davis running the offense. Can you think of a better combination than those two?
It's funny, those two guys, I mean, they're good guys. They do great work. Tim, I remember talking to him when he decided he wanted to be all done and was going to retire, and he looked it and he was ready to be done. And then he came back like midway through last year and is back full time as the OC this year, and things are clicking. He's a great football coach. I mean, he knows how to call offense. He knows how to time. His time management's really good. He's awesome there. And Brown has done an excellent job with everything else that goes on over there and all the fundraising and all the organizational stuff. And I know the kids really enjoy playing over there. They do a lot of fun stuff with their entrances and that kind of stuff. And that's you know definitely a good pairing. Um, as far as what they have going, for sure.
I think Isaiah, now I want you to comment on this. I spent a couple hours figuring this one out, but Manny Maga is the running back for West. That's exceptional. And when you look at his last name, Maga, make Anchorage West great again. So, anyways, Isaiah, it's another bit of research that I was wondering what you thought of that.
That's pretty good research, Brad. Props to the research department on that one.
We got a good one. And then maybe the other thing I'm wondering is West is off to play Heritage. We had experience at Heritage, although wasn't football related. And I wonder where Heritage is. Brian, do you have any idea on that? It sounds like
They're,
a California school.
I think they're Colorado, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, they're heading to Colorado, and East is heading to Oakmont, California, I believe. Um, and I want to say, I was just looking it up. I think Soldotna is having a team coming up from maybe Idaho, but they're state champs down there.
Oh,
That seems like that would be a pretty good game out there.
just continuing to look around the state. Thought I caught something about Barrow. Is that right? Did Barrow have a big win? It's
Yeah, I
hard
think
hard to keep track of.
I want to say they beat Homer last
Okay.
night. Yeah, Diamond's actually going down to Homer this Friday to play down there, and so um, hopefully the boys will right the ship. And um, they've been doing a good job. I know the coaches are working hard, and I talk with them and try and keep up with them when I can. But I know they're working hard. The kids are working hard. Definitely saw improvement this last week versus West, but they're a young team, young coaching staff, and I think they'll figure things out here.
Yeah, I went to a game and I heard they were young, but I saw that they were actually small, and that is not a great combination. But I think you're right. They did improve, and if they continue to improve by what we saw from game one to game two, um, they're going to challenge some people. And really, there's three teams at 0-2, so it'll be interesting to see when they get together who will rise up and get a win or two.
And the crazy thing about this conference and the way it all works, I mean, everyone's in the playoffs anyway. And so, as long as they're clicking and healthy at the right time, I think they, still have a chance.
Brian, I wish you hadn't said that because I think Isaiah is going to weigh in on it.
I have said my piece. I think everyone knows where I stand on that. I know it might not be the popular opinion amongst some, but yeah,
Um,
the that just always has blown my mind. But
yeah, as much as having everyone in the playoffs is, makes things a little wonky. Um, with eight teams, it's nice to get an extra game. It'd be nice if we were able to go from an eight-team league to 10 to 12 and bring some of those other teams up. Um, and and then go back to the way we did it before. I think that works a lot better. But
I think Isaiah's seeing it maybe going the other way, like a 4-team playoff.
yeah, oh no, I mean, and that would be, I mean, a 14 playoff in a if we had like a 12-team league would be a lot better.
Right.
Everyone would get one more regular season game out of it, and then we cut it down to, just the semifinals and state championship. I think that would be great.
Uh,
But
Personally, I don't think that will ever. I could be wrong, but I don't get the sense that that will ever happen. Instead of doing quarterfinals, because I'm sorry, no one's going to convince me because I've never heard anybody say, hey, I'm so excited as the 8 seed to go and play the number 1 seed and get blown out 67-0, like West did to Bartlett, and like I've seen in quarterfinal games. I've never heard anybody say that the the team, the number 8 seed, they're really excited to be in the playoffs and they're really excited for a chance and the whole community is behind. I mean, I'm sorry. That's not real. I get the information of why do we play this game? We don't want our players to get hurt. They're wanted playing other sports later on this year. I'm sorry. If we're going to do the 8 teams to play, because I do agree with you, Coach, I think having that extra game is a reasonable thing because the Alaska football season is so short. Why can't you have the semifinals and those semifinals are on a Saturday, and then on Friday, you know what? The 4 seed or either the 5 plays the 6 and the 7 play the 8. So those teams that are comparable through the course of the year can play each other and get that extra game. To me, that makes a lot more sense than having some 8 seed go and play the 1 seed and just get slaughtered. I mean, how many years at ASAA did I see the fact that the opening round playoff games for quarterfinals, it was 174-3. I mean, I'm sorry. That just, you're not getting anything out of that. I'm sorry. I was a coach. I, no, no one's going to convince me of that. Sorry.
Yeah.
I know that's a hard stance and some people might
No.
be screaming at the podcast or the radio or whatever, but I'm sorry. I just don't see the right numbers. I don't see any of the stuff that's right. I would much rather do a 5 versus 6 and a 7 versus 8 so those teams that are comparable can play each other and get that extra game.
Isaiah, I hate to agree with you, but that does sound like a pretty good idea. And then the other part that you even add on to that is, let's say a Juneau, really an Anchorage team. Say you're an Anchorage team that has to go to Juneau to play, or Juneau, who has the burden of fundraising over the course of the season, has to come to Anchorage to play a game that they're really a significant underdog. And then you look at the stands, and they barely have any parents there because they have to pick games to go to. So I think the thing that you're talking about can really solve a lot of those issues.
yeah, I mean, it's definitely an idea again, or just turn that first round of the playoffs into another regular season game. And so teams get to play 2 non-conference games, and it'll
Yeah.
open up travel a little bit more, out of state travel, because right now we're kind of pinned down to week 3, which is California, apparently Colorado, sometimes Hawaii is ready to go by then, but like Washington, those games can't really happen week 3 for Washington anymore, the state of Washington, and so by opening up another later September date for out of state travel would be nice.
Hey, Brian, it's a little known fact that you spent some time as a coach in flag football. So we'll talk about flag football just for a second. And Dimond High School and South met in the championship last year, which Dimond people don't like to talk about, but South people don't mind bringing up because South was the winner far and away. But both those teams 3-0 this year. They don't meet up till I think the September or a little bit later. Those teams play twice. I was kind of thinking a volleyball matchup. But again, they're far and away the leading teams. I think Service might be the closest team to chasing them. But in your experience with flag football, how did you enjoy being a part of that?
Oh, flag football's awesome. You know, and that's another sport where, although the numbers don't necessarily support having a C team, every team can't put out a C team. Some teams are struggling to put out JVs and varsities. Um, but man, it's such a fun game to watch. The girls that are at the top level are amazing athletes and really into it, and they bring it. They're playing hard, they're playing hurt, they're playing yeah, it's great to watch. It's fun. um and Diamond, I had been at Diamond now for 10 years before this year, and watching them do their thing and being able to be a part of that was amazing. um and it's really, I think it's really growing as a sport. Um, I think, the advancements and obviously, the competition out in the valley and up north in Fairbanks. Um, I think it's fun watching those teams as well. It just opens up a whole nother level of competition when there's that many. And so,
Brian, one thing I think about, and I kind of wish it was true for my boys who are in their 30s right now, but I have a grandson that turns 2 on September 1st. And really, what I'd like to see is a bit of a concentration on flag football younger. So they're not playing tackle in sixth, seventh, eighth grade. I drove by school the other day, and I swear these kids look like they were 10 years old, and they're all dressed up, and one team's the Vikings and one team's the Eagles. And of course, you know anything about the Eagles, you know they don't play fair, but um, it's like I don't know. I just think to play 12, 13 years old and then jump into the other when you're in ninth grade or whatever, I think that's an idea that has a lot of merit.
yeah, with flag being an Olympic sport now, and I know especially on the girls' side, they're starting to get scholarships to play flag football and at the college level. I think the the cost and expense of flag football is a lot lower. I don't know time-wise where it would fit um, in the schedule, especially up here in Alaska. Finding field time is tough, and but man, it's a fun game.
Well, Brian, we thank you for joining us, and we'll count on checking in with you during the season. As you just never know what's going to happen game to game, especially from game one to game two, and I guess two. We'll hope to see those teams that are going outside show up well, and um, just hope to see them demonstrate well for the state of Alaska.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, and that's kind of what it's all about, really, is Alaskan kids doing well and doing their best, and hopefully pursuing their dreams, and hopefully football's can help get them there. Um, not every kid's gonna make it D1, or very few are gonna make it to the NFL, but getting some college paid for is huge. And so hopefully the kids take advantage of that and keep their grades up, and get to a point in their life where they have those opportunities.
Thanks, Brian. We'll jump into some of the other sports. I think that Isaiah would probably want us to mention that there is an Anchorage player that has a ring. And who does he play for, Isaiah?
I believe he plays for the Super Bowl champs, the Seattle Seahawks.
Dang it. Set
Yeah.
him up again. I set him
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
And just a quick plug for the Diamond football team. Actually, they're auctioning off a Brandon Peely autographed Seattle Seahawks jersey. They're selling raffle tickets for, as well as four home game tickets to a Seahawks home game of your choice. It'll be for 2027, so it'll be for next year. But I think they're doing that. I think I just saw they're doing the raffle on that. They're going to draw that in March, and yeah,
Nice.
yeah. So
They're going to get some Isaiah's money.
get your raffle tickets.
That is a possibility.
All right, thanks, guys. You have a good one.
All right. Thanks,
Thanks,
Brian.
Brian.
So just West 2-0, just big scoring, shutouts, pretty impressive. And then South, it could be a game to keep an eye on. Maybe jump into volleyball and looking at it at the college level, Isaiah, the Alaska teams went to Hawaii, which strangely enough happens every year. They neglect the opportunity to take Alaska sports talk along with them.
Yeah,
I
that's
say,
pretty messed up.
I don't know why that is.
Yeah, we're gonna have to talk to somebody about that.
So Alaska Fairbanks, they went 3-1 on their trip. Of course, they had a great season last year and really kind of rekindled that rivalry with UAA. And Morgan Ho in her first year went to Hawaii, went 2-2, and they're coming back. And on Thursday they'll play the Seawolf Invitational. So if you're ready to take a look at UAA and the Invitational, that's always a tournament to watch and see some different teams as watch it as well as watch your UAA Seawolves.
Yeah, it is going to be a fun year with the UAC Wolves, I believe. I think they got some real energy coming into that building that is really excited about being there, and I foresee great things.
And really, you look at all the coaches. Cameron Turner, a new coach with boys basketball. You got Coach Toon, who's heading into his second year. Morgan into her first year. We got a new athletic director. So I think that brings a lot of energy, a lot of excitement, even though UA has a tradition of really good coaches. I just think the newness, I think that's going to attract people and maybe create a little more focus on building up the Alaska Airlines because it can't just be 1A, 2A basketball. I mean, we got to see that crowd kind of grow, and I think really believe we're going to have the type of teams that are going to encourage that.
I agree with that. I definitely think there's going to be some momentum. It might not start out that way, but by the end of the season for volleyball and basketball, I definitely believe there'll be some momentum heading that way where these games are going to start filling up.
Well, one thing, another friend of the show, Brian Yim's a friend of the show, and also Cameron Turner. We've had him on once already, and certainly going to have him on again. We're going to try and have him on numerous times as we're able to do with the Rusty Osborne visits a year ago. But just talking to him briefly before the broadcast, he was talking about their team. And, one thing that impressed me, Isaiah, is just how they get involved in the community. And one thing that they did is they went to Willowcrest over there on Tudor Road, and they welcomed the kids back to school. And what a cool thing for them to be able to do. And you got to, what do you think about a team that is that willing to do that kind of thing for the community?
Now that's a great little spot for them to be in, and I think the kids enjoy that. And honestly, it's a great opportunity for the community to really see more of these guys and more of what they have to offer the young kids in the state of Alaska.
Yeah, and I know that's just I think the way the program's going to go. I understand, and he was telling me that they don't start conditioning for a few days. It's against the rules. I said, Cameron, rules, smalls. But actually,
the NCAA has rules. This is a
yeah,
first. Yeah, what's that?
It's a pamphlet. You open it up. It says, "Watch yourself." But I think what happens too is they got a great group of returners. Sounds like the recruits are going to be fun to watch. A lot of Alaska influence over there, and I think when you have experience players like that by the time regular conditioning rolls around, um, you can't say that they're still unprepared because those as senior leadership will get them out there running hills and they'll go over to Kincaid Beach and run in the sand. And I think this is a team that's going to be ready.
I believe so. I am, like I said earlier, I do expect some really fun and wild things to be happening over at UAA this year.
A lot of good information there. And let's jump to high school volleyball, which the fall sports, hard to cover them all, hard to get all over the state, but some interesting things taking place. We had the Chugiak Invitational, which is always an early season tournament that gives a good view of maybe some things that are going to happen in the coming season. A lot of people really high on the Colony Knights. They put on a show last year in the state tournament, and they were able to win the Chugiak Invitational. I think they're maybe 8-2 overall, 4-1 in that tournament. So, Colony, you just kind of, I don't know, Isaiah. I think you got to feel it too. You expect good teams to come out of Colony in that good athletic program.
100%. They're a solid group all around with the vast majority of their sports. I am trying to think. I don't really know a sport that they're not competitive in, really competitive, where they're battling for rights to go to state all the time.
It's true, and they have good coaches, and some of them coach both teams.
That is
Tom Berg
crazy.
and
That
John
is crazy.
Kuhn,
I've heard that.
both the boys and the girls. So I don't know. It's only one guy I ever heard of, and that's Franco Stanek that
Nope.
attempted something so wild. And then I know you've watched some of the volleyball standouts, and really there's at Colony there's standouts in a variety of sports. I think Taylor Prasad within the tournament she had 6 kills, 12 digs, 1 ace, and I think she was Gatorade softball player of the year. She was a huge factor in their basketball team. And then she's just a sophomore. And then another sophomore setter, that's Emily DeHart. She had 16 assists. She had 14 digs and 3 kills. So Emily DeHart's kind of a bigger setter, which people really value. So those 2 volleyball players, Isaiah, you know we're going to hear more and more from them in a variety of sports.
100%. We absolutely will. It's it's funny as the season gets closer to winding down, that's when more people are paying attention. Sports in what I found sports in August, you're having some people pay attention, but so many people's focuses is starting school and all this other stuff, the state fair. As things turn post Labor Day, more focus starts getting attention on all of those different sports and where the standings are and all this kind of stuff. So I definitely think we're going to be hearing those names a lot more as we get closer to October.
Then Chugiak in Pool A had a 4-0 record in advancing to the final bracketed play, but Palmer just a 2-2 record in pool play, and it kind of makes you wonder. Wasilla's always been good in volleyball. Colony looks like the team to be reckoned with this year, but Palmer and coming second up there looks like a lot of the volleyball power is moved a little north of Anchorage.
Yeah, it's something. Well, we started seeing it with Wasilla the last couple of years that that crew was so dominant and so good, and that was the first time in what 15, 20 years that there hasn't been an ASD school that won the state championship, and then all of a sudden it was whoa, power in the valley, and it looks like it's continuing.
Yeah, well, one team that did well last year, in fact, got the championship in the first time in a couple of years, and that's Dimond High. They went to Utah, and um, a year ago they went to Texas, and they learned a lot about volleyball. And this year they learned that Utah is pretty good at volleyball as
Pretty good
well.
at
But
volleyball.
I
Yeah.
think what happens is they'll come back. They got a game tomorrow night against Eagle River. I think the schedule for volleyball is a Wednesday game and a Friday game this week. And I think when you go play a tough schedule like that, it can only help you when you come back and play other teams.
Agreed. No, it's nice to get back. It's nice to go out and experience those things, but it's nice to get back into the state and start getting in the groove as conference play starts to creep in between tournaments and other one-off games throughout the season.
Well, Isaiah, Ken Bone and I were just up in Nome. We did a camp and we saw a lot of nice players, and we saw their volleyball team and got a chance to watch them practice. And what I've come to realize a little bit is although basketball is king across the state of Alaska, and you know that as well as anybody with 1A and 2A, there's some other sports that seem to get everybody's attention out there. Wrestling is one of them, but I think of a sport like cross country running, where you see teams from all over the state, and how much fun is it to watch those teams gather for such a big event?
Well, it's when you get there's only a few sports that are truly statewide sports. One of them is cross country, the other is wrestling, and the other is basketball. Those are the three sports that are offered in high school that really cross 1A through 4A. And I know cross country is division 1, 2, and 3, but when you look at it, football is really just 3A, 4A, or division 1, division 2. There's not really 1A, 2A schools in that. Mixed 6, 2A volleyball, it's still volleyball, but it's played at a different time. There's a few different rules. So you really only have three sports that are truly statewide sports that are all the same: cross country, wrestling, and basketball, excuse me. So it's always fun to see all of those groups all at one time in one area and really competing.
Well, I was thinking that might be the last thing we need to talk about, but I can think of one more thing, and
there's definitely one more thing,
and it's the Wolverines, which is close to your heart. You've been working hard with them for the last year or so, and what's going on with the Wolverines?
Well, Wolverines started training camp today, Monday. If you're listening to this Monday night or Tuesday morning, it's Monday. They started training camp. Saw the players and met with the players, spoke with them on Sunday night, just welcoming them to Anchorage. Some are already from here, obviously, but I've got to say, they were competing hard today. And in the Sullivan Arena, I've got to say, the ice is looking pretty sweet. It is looking really, really good. And to see those players skate out there and the lights and the bright white ice and the logos and all, it truly is exciting. And you walk in there and there's a little bit of a chill because of the ice. It's just an exciting time. So the next couple weeks or next 2.5 weeks, we have training camp. But the big thing that's coming up, and I can be honest, I didn't know truly what this meant until I spoke with our GM, general manager, Merritt Waldrop. And the Wolverines are playing the USA hockey team, the development team, so the 17 and under program. And I didn't really know what that was. It's not the USA team that played over in the Olympics. It's not the NHLers. It's not that team, but the development program. And Merritt described it best because he was on that team. It is future NHLers. When Merritt played, Patrick Kane was on that team. He's one of the greatest American hockey players to ever play. So it is future NHLers, and we actually have them coming up to play the Wolverines September 11 and 12. And on September 11, we're going to have it's called Fire and Ice. We've got the fire department for Anchorage, and we got the police department for Anchorage. And it's just going to be this big celebration and honoring 9/11 and the USA team up here to play a game. And that'll continue through the weekend. And it's just really exciting to talk about that and looking forward to that a lot. Also, for those of you that do 50-50 split the pot, you should know that the owners of the Wolverines have made it. This is really cool that for each of those games, there's going to be a $10,000 pot minimum for 50-50 split the pot. So if you win, you're walking away with at least $10,000, period. And that'll happen on Friday night and again on Saturday night. And we've got shooting for a possible BMW car and all this. I mean, it's going to be just a wild time opening the Sullivan Arena for the start of this year and having the USA team up here. It's a big deal. Those future NHLers, we also have an Alaskan on the team, which is really exciting to be a part of. So everyone needs to come out and cheer for that. If you're looking for tickets, AnchorageWolverines.com here. I think in the next few days, we're going to start releasing those tickets. We're expecting a sellout. We're expecting a large group. And because it's an exhibition game, it's not our normal pricing. It's actually a little cheaper than our regular season games. So we definitely expect to sell it. So I would get your tickets soon.
What a great way to start the year. And I guess, I don't know if everybody knows this, Isaiah, but the ownership group of the Wolverines, and you might explain how this works to us, and that's how Sullivan Arena is kind of part of the Sullivan effort there. And I imagine in missing the Sullivan Arena for so long and it not being a part of the sports scene and even being a part of an attempt to help out the homeless, which is certainly a good goal, but I'm not sure if the Sullivan Arena, a great sports arena in its time, was exactly the place to do that. But what's going on with the Sullivan's relationship, especially with the Wolverines?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question. It's the Wolverine ownership. When the Sullivan came out for bid again for a new operator, the Wolverine ownership said, let's create a new LLC, and that's called All in 49. And All in 49 bid with the municipality, and there were other bidders too, that they wanted to run the Sullivan Arena, manage it for the municipality of Anchorage. So we actually went through that process, and All in 49 won the bid. So starting on July 1st, All in 49 has taken over management of the Sullivan Arena. And so All in 49 and the Wolverines, it's the same ownership group, and we're a team, and it's an exciting time. We actually had an ownership meeting today with the staffs between Wolverines and All in 49, and we just have a real team atmosphere to get this thing moving forward. We have some big plans. There are some things I can't release yet because of contract stipulations, but we are working on some very large things to come to the Sullivan Arena. It won't happen in the next month or two or anything like that, but I can say, but we are working on some pretty large things to be able to fill not just hockey, but other things in the Sullivan Arena. Because the big thing that the Wolverine ownership, but All in 49 ownership as well, we wanted to make sure that the public knew and the community knew of Anchorage. It's not just a hockey rink. The Sullivan Arena is an arena for the whole community, and that means all sorts of different kind of events. We have a health fair booked there already. We have some other events there. We're going to have hockey there, obviously, but there's a lot of different things that we have on the back burner right now. But as the schedule starts filling out, that we'll be able to make some more announcements later on of different events that will be coming to the Sullivan Arena, courtesy of All in 49 and the ownership.
I think one thing I talked to you about was Amy Grant was at the fair tonight. So
Nice.
that was provided a bit of a conflict, but I think tells you what the opportunity might be, and you've been kind of closed mouth about what it might be, but I would expect that this would be an attractive place for people to come, not only as groups to generate income, but just because Alaska's such a special place to visit.
Well, it's a special place to visit, and I had a unique peek into kind of behind the curtains when Carrie Underwood came up here years ago, back in, I think it was 2016. I believe I have that right, 2016. I believe that's when it was. Anyway, kind of a peek behind the curtain. One of the big reasons that she was able to do that is because she was up here for an event. Carrie Underwood's not just going to come up here for a one show, but she wanted to see Alaska. Other artists want to see Alaska, and you can work out some of those things. And that's why the Carrie Underwood event happened here. One night only, one show, because she was up here visiting, and hey, let's do a concert for Alaska, which usually is left out of some of these areas with these big A-list numbers that you just aren't going to see very often, if ever, especially in the last 10 or 15 years. So there's some unique opportunity. People want to be here. People are inquiring. There have been some inquiries. Again, I can't go into too much detail on some of those things just because of contracts, but we are definitely working at getting some acts that I would think that, or not I would think, I know that Anchorage and Alaska would be, all of Alaska would be very, very excited to see come up here.
Well, I hope people have been excited about the start of our, did you say fourth season? It's flying along, and
It's
I
fourth
know
season.
that
Yeah.
it's not within my power to check our followers, but I thought I heard a number in the middle of last year, and I'm hearing a number lately, and it seems like we're gaining traction. We like to thank the folks out there and remind them to what?
Like and subscribe.
Like and
And
subscribe.
subscribe. Yep. Follow us on all the social media platform, or I shouldn't say social media platforms. We're on Instagram and we're on Facebook, but we're also on YouTube, and then obviously all of the podcast networks as well, but particularly Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Those are the big ones that we see our listeners go for. And if you rate and review, that always helps us out. So please help us out by rating and reviewing, but only 4 or 5 stars. Prefer the
Yeah.
5 stars. Yeah, if you're going to rate 1 star, just don't do that. I'm just
kidding. You said platforms. Those are the best ones, aren't they?
Well, they
ones
are
you
the best
mentioned?
ones. Yeah, they are the best ones. They're the ones that are the most popular and have the most interface. And so it's our social media. Obviously, following has gotten big. Our clips get a lot of views on social media as well as on YouTube. So it's an exciting time. It's hard to believe it's season 4, but at the same time, it feels like it's season 6. So
Yeah.
it's kind of
Use the word exciting, and I think that applies here more than ever. And of course, we miss Keaton, and he's busy with some other responsibilities, including watching his son play flag football, which we'll look forward to finding out what their record is. And I don't know if Keaton's coaching on the field or from the sidelines, but we'll find out.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know that this year, this season 4, we'll have guests. I'll be in and out with some of my other responsibilities that I have, but we're very excited to be here, and thank you all. Seriously, thank you all for those of you that are listening, following, interacting with us when we're on site at different places, people coming up to us saying, "Hey, we like this clip. We like this clip. Isaiah, your double elimination idea is dumb." Things like that. Now, I don't hear that too often, but I thought I did. I thought I'd throw that out there. Anyway, we like hearing that. Thank you for the feedback. We do read emails. If you're sending us emails, we do read those. We want constructive criticism because really we're here to serve you guys, the Alaska sports scene. What can we do best for you? So any feedback you have or comments, please please let us know.
Yeah, as coaches, we're used to constructive criticism.
Yeah, exactly. Constructive criticism. I get enough criticism of just random stuff all the time. So who knows?
But we're having a lot of fun. We hope you continue to have fun with you, and let your friends know they can tune in throughout the week, and it's a good time. And if you don't have a lot of time, those clips are a great place to tune in.
Absolutely. Well, for Brad Lowers, my name's Isaiah Vreeman. Thank you for joining us for episode 1 of season 4 of Alaska Sports Talk. And we will see you next week.